That's one of the best podcasts ever. Ever. Top 5 dead or alive. Welcome to Pod Caviar. Very special episode. Graham is in the building. We're in the Pod Caviar studios.
Ministry of Silly Talk, please.
The Ministry of Silly Talk. Listen, this is the start of season 3.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we've done some off-season content. Season 2 was a massive success. I took some time off. Now we're ready to start season 3, where we will go through the ADX Colorado, the federal prison, where they hold all sorts of different criminals from different pasts, and they've done different crimes. And now
it's definitely a place where if the government decides to disappear you,
yeah, that's where.
But they won't kill you.
Yeah,
that's where they disappear you.
Yeah, and you already know, what is that? A 3.5 by
3.5 by meter by 2 meter.
Oh,
7 foot by 12 foot box.
Yeah, and that's it with a little window.
Yeah. This little slit.
That's it. Yeah, that's all you get is a slit. And what is that? The bars, and then it's another set of doors behind there. So,
right.
Yeah.
So you're behind bars, also behind a sliding door.
And deservingly so, because, like I said, they put Unabomber, they put Dr. Chaos, who we're going to talk about today. They put homegrown terrorists. They put foreign terrorists in there. El Chapo is probably going to go there.
That is probably where El Chapo will end up. But the deal is, too, though, that the terrifying aspect of a prison like this existing is that maybe they could put you in there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, if they were just like, this guy's got to go.
I
mean, you do have to do, as far as
you got to do
shit. You got to do some shit
you gotta
that's
do
terribly egregious.
Yeah.
But, like, if the government decides to do away with your physical form without killing you, they send you here.
Yeah. It reminds me of that movie Enemy of the State with Gene Hackman and Will Smith. Remember that shit?
Yeah.
Where the government was like, no, you did that shit, so we're after you. But it was all one big, I don't know. If you haven't seen Enemy of the State by now, check it out. It's a good movie.
I don't know what to do for you.
But
then the entire construction of the cells at this super high max facility is designed. The shower's on a timer to keep inmates from flooding their cells. They get a little TV and they sit in a box for 23 hours a day.
God damn, yeah.
And that's your existence.
Christ.
You know, it's a weird thing though about going to prison that we've discussed at length in my podcast, because in Alabama, I don't know if people are familiar, but there's a lot of inmates and they have a big general population, and a lot of people do things.
Just old penitentiary trick.
Gentlemen. Go back.
You're gonna hear that a lot this season, because that's pretty much all we're gonna talk about.
Yeah, we are talking about prison, so it may come up.
I give him the grease.
It is though. It is. The thing that always trips me out when I think about these AdMax prisons, these like super segregation prisons, is I'm like, well, if I went to prison, would I prefer to have to exist in general population, right? Like, you get some human contact, but it's literally with the worst human beings you could ever come in contact with. Right. Like, because normal people who are in general population have also become terrible people. Yeah. But definitely anyone that would approach you is not like, someone who came to prison to just get by.
Yeah.
They're in there.
And these guys they've done major crimes, so they don't get general populations. Yeah. They don't get general population, because if you think about it,
put some on his finger.
all
Sticking
the
in his
people,
ass.
sorry.
all the people that have a problem with the way the American prison system is, I hear what you're saying, and I agree that a lot
Absolutely.
of times there are problems. But when you think about places like the ADX, these people do not need to be in general population.
Right.
When you think about it, when you're in general population, guys get together, they talk.
Yeah.
If you take the most evil
Conspiracies
people,
happen.
right,
Right,
yeah.
yeah, plots
What are they going to
are
do? They're going to
thickened.
plan on A, getting out of ADX Colorado, breaking out, and then B, doing the same shit that
Yeah.
they were in there
Yeah,
for.
what happens if like Larry Hoover becomes friends with Khalid Sheikh Mohammed?
Right, like what are you going to do then?
There's no way to even prepare for
because it's a different mind state of, okay, I was in a gang, so normally when shit goes down, we're not planting bombs, we're shooting motherfuckers
Yeah.
that like doing shit like that.
There's
When
just-
Khalid Sheikh Mohammed comes in and be like, "What have you ever heard of C4?"
Yeah, well, see,
fertilizer bombs.
but so you could even consider it like from sort of a macro level, like the two minds, right?
Yeah.
Like, okay, I'm
Yeah.
Larry Hoover. I masterminded the creation of one of the largest street gangs that's ever existed.
Right.
And like held it to these strict codes.
Mm-hmm.
Early setter, and I am affiliated with all of the people who created all of the super gangs that have came out of Chicago.
Right.
And so like regardless of the fact that he did that, he conceived of that in his mind, and then you put his mind into the mind of someone who can conceive what Khalid Sheikh Mohammed's mind thought, and you like sit him down at a chess table.
Yeah.
There is no possible way to conceive of what would be constructed there.
No,
because
no.
it could even what could even be constructed there is like some sort of harmonious unifying message.
Yeah.
That's underlying
Yeah.
structure is
Yeah.
like the most horrible shit you could imagine.
And a lot of things that come out of these people that are in ADX is that when they did what they did, their underlying message was that they felt like they were being oppressed unjustly because of various reasons.
Well, and part of the reason they segregate them the way they do is because they are in some ways masterminds.
Yeah.
But that's what I was
Yeah.
that's what I was alluding to earlier though, was I was going to say like when I think about prison and you think about general population, you think about being handed the grease, right?
Right.
Like which would be worse?
Mm-hmm.
Like being out in the mix,
Right.
having to deal with all of those people,
Right.
or just being in like a single room for 23 hours a day watching TV.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know either, dude.
Because you're gonna go nuts either way. You're
are.
not gonna be the same on
Right.
the back end of either of those things.
Right.
But especially if you were like, well, you're going to spend the rest of your life in one of these two situations, that's
Yeah.
a very messy decision because it's like,
It is.
okay, you could be in a box and you could be safe and shit, or
Yeah.
you could be out there with the grease guy
Mm-hmm.
knowing that you got nothing to lose, and
Yeah.
you can either like, that can either be where it ends or that
Yeah.
could be where it starts.
Right,
And you're like, this
right.
is my new life.
Yeah.
And I live in general population. These people on this side of the cell block are my brothers, and all of these people, and like it gives your life some sort of purpose.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Or
Or
you can chill,
yeah.
and there's a benefit to that because definitely no one's gonna put anything in your butt
Right.
because you live in a concrete box,
Yeah.
made out with like a metal sheathing around it,
Right.
and you can like watch TV.
Yeah. You got a TV there, so
You could talk to yourself.
I would take the TV in the fucking box, dude.
I think I would too.
I would definitely do that. Is it not any different than how we were
But do
when
you
we were
think-
deployed?
Yeah, but
I mean, come on.
so you still got to interact with other people.
You
and I'm
did,
saying
but-
like so like, but I'm saying maybe like a year or two into sitting in that box,
Yeah.
maybe the idea of mixing it up on a yard with some shivs would you'd be like, God, I would love to do that because what am I doing here? Like sitting in this box just watching antenna TV.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it's both ways. It
Yeah.
depends on the person. I'm a loner, dude. I don't,
See, I thought about
just
that
fucking,
too because I like being left alone.
Yeah.
Like there's
Yeah.
a certain amount, like when I
But
see that AdMax cell,
Yeah.
I'm not lying to you. There's like a certain piece to it because we've talked about prison on both of our
Yeah.
podcasts.
Yeah, we have.
We talked about the grease guy.
Yeah.
You know,
Yep.
like there's a piece
Yeah.
that comes from not having to deal with people, and I feel like if they were like, look, you're done. You're
Yeah.
gonna spend a big chunk of your life in a cell. Mm-hmm. I think I'd be like, yeah, put me in there.
Yeah. Put me in there.
You know,
No,
I learn
do that.
Morse
Fuck
code.
that.
I learn Morse code. I'll talk to Hannibal Lecter through the wall in
Yeah.
Morse code or whatever.
Right.
Or I'll just,
Or I just sit there.
take my timed showers and read books.
Fuck it.
And talk to myself. I'd probably just let myself go nuts. Still seems better than getting fucked.
Yeah. No, yeah, it
I think
does.
we're in agreement
it does.
there.
Yeah.
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 I drink to
talking
that,
to myself
right?
and fucking let's
like,
talk to that
just
shit.
being a crazy person.
Oh, yeah.
Way better than getting fucked, I'm sure.
Easily. But this guy, Dr. Chaos, in ADX Colorado, he was a guy who's serving 20 years. He's supposed to get out in September of 2019 this year. He did a lot of irritating terrorism. I'll say that because
He was like a hacker, right?
yeah, he was a hacker. He knew computers. He was really good as with computers as a kid, even in school.
Joseph Konopka.
Yeah, dude, Joseph Konopka.
That's the
his name.
subject of this episode of the podcast.
Yeah.
We've started this podcast 3 or 4 times. So I figured I'd step in and help you out. And be like, nobody knows what we're talking about now. But that was the reason why we brought up the ADX thing.
Joseph Konopka, he was very talented as a kid in school. The teachers and the administration, they used to come to him with computer problems because he could solve them. He was really good with computers. And then he ended up becoming bored with school. He ended up dropping out. And as a youth and many other youth, people in the country, they need a purpose. They need some sort of mission or some sort of guidance
The youth of the nation,
to steer them away from doing exactly what he ended up doing. This guy was very, what is it? He was very charismatic as in recruiting youth in Chicago to help him do what he did. Some of the things. Let me just read what he did.
I did briefly though.
Yeah,
This didn't make it onto this version of the take of the podcast, but I did not know this guy was from Chicago.
Yeah.
I had never heard of him.
Yeah.
Like we were talking about Larry Hoover. I know a great deal about master mental manipulators who started groups of people who do horrible shit in Chicago.
Yeah.
This guy did it like at a time and around a place where like I probably met people at some point.
No, yeah, I'm sure you have.
Who were part of this network of
Yeah.
strange people.
And
I don't
this-
want to
and
do any spoilers, but like the geographical region in which this dude operated.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
as
And
did
just,
I years later.
me randomly going through the list of all the guys that we touched on in season 2 with the Trail of Terror. And then I came to him, and I remember hearing about him in early 2000s, but it was like, this shit is happening. We got a guy, we caught a guy, and then that was the end of the story. So they whisked him away
Nailed it.
fairly quickly.
Yeah.
And yeah, man, I mean, I remember hearing about him, but then now reading about him, I'm like, yeah, this is the same guy that was doing all that shit. He was responsible for over 50 acts of vandalism in Wisconsin, over $800,000 of damage. He did damage to power stations. He stockpiled sodium cyanide in underground tunnels in Chicago.
Yeah.
What he would do was he got in real good with underground exploration groups. They were full of young people, and he recruited them to help him do his terrorism.
Yeah.
But he went underground and he found these abandoned tunnels. They had storage rooms. He broke into these storage rooms, picked the locks, changed the locks, and that's where he stored all of his sodium cyanide.
Yeah,
he stole that
he
from
was
a
storing
warehouse.
cyanide
Yeah.
in mass quantities.
Yeah.
This even says like under a blue line subway. Like I've
Yeah,
ridden
yeah.
that train.
Yeah,
Excuse me, a great many times.
yeah.
He was arrested in 2002, right? When he was 25 years old.
Right,
So
right.
presumably he was storing shit in there in the late 90s and early 2000s.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
rode the train by where this was happening.
Right.
He was arrested in 2002. I still lived in Chicago then.
Mm-hmm.
And I was very in tune into ill shit that was going on in the city. I have never heard of this.
Yeah, Yeah.
It's 2019. I've never heard of this dude.
And that's one of the reasons why I chose to do him first, because I know you're from Chicago, and I know you were like out there in Chicago.
That
like,
time of in those days.
Yeah.
No,
and you and I were young, so we were out there
was,
doing.
2002 was the year I joined the Air Force.
Right.
Like, so
right.
in 2002 when he was arrested, I lived in Chicago.
Yeah.
I do not know who this person is.
That's crazy.
Yeah, see, and I don't mean to sound like Joey Diaz, but literally, like, okay, in those very few years of my life, like 3 years preceding that,
right,
I could have been anywhere.
Yeah.
You could have caught me anywhere in Chicago.
And it's crazy how you were there and that you could have
easily ran across this
dude.
Guy could have easily probably recruited me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because I was just out in the streets.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, yeah.
This is...
It's crazy.
Bro, we have to do Larry Hoover next because he had a huge impact in my life, too.
Oh, yeah. We could definitely
Let's do
that.
the Chicagoans first. But that's crazy, though. I don't want to dwell on it too much.
Yeah.
But that's legitimate.
But, and it's one of those things where me being lucky enough to know you and you having knowledge of the city of Chicago, and it's not a doubt that you love Chicago. Like, if you haven't listened to Pod Caviar or 1 Gram Army, like, Graham is Chicago.
Yeah, thank
Just
you.
like I am Baltimore. Graham is Chicago. So
as close as you're gonna get, folks.
Oh yeah. So he stockpiled sign in, and then we talked about that. Let's see. He disabled radio, television, and air traffic control stations.
Jesus.
He was out there doing a lot of shit, and they finally caught up with him and whisked him away. And this was part of the time in the early 2000s where a lot of shit was happening. We talked about the Unabomber before.
Yeah.
We had the 90s and the 2000s were just so crazy, dude.
Do you think maybe though, because it was the early 2000s and this is like obviously less than a year after 9/11, this dude gets arrested?
Yeah.
That maybe it was like kind of okay, like that to the media it was okay to not make it a big news story. Because once 9/11 happened, everything after that was overshadowed. I think if 9/11 hadn't happened, he would have been a bigger story because of the shit that he did. This is big, dude. You're not gonna. People scared would have hinged on. Would have hinged on not giving them a nightmare scenario like this guy. Like, hey, do you commute into the city from the north?
Yeah,
and probably
this isn't some guy that just got pissed off and did
cyanide.
Right, and did one or two things. This guy was really out there recruiting people, and he had a group, and he was part. Yeah, he was part of a hacker group. He hacked into systems. He damaged systems. He did all that. He's when they charged him with his 20 years, he had to pay restitution for anybody who had an inconvenience.
Okay, so
I mean, he was out there.
Here's the question I have. I think we probably established that this dude is, clearly a dick.
Right. Yeah.
What was do you know what his manifesto was, like what his beef was? Because nobody beheves like this without having a beef with society. Or was he some kind of Joker character?
He just wanted to do this shit. He was a gifted youth. He went down the wrong path, and this is just what he ended up doing. This is what I read, and it stood out was, he didn't understand that doing this wasn't cool. It was something that is serious and that you're not supposed to do.
See, I can dig that though, right? Because let's walk that down real quick.
Right.
The late 90s, the idea of being a computer criminal, like being like a hacker.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it really started in the late 80s, early 90s with that War Games movie.
Yeah.
And then they made the movie Hackers, which is pretty much the beginning of the trend in movies where computers make a shitload of noise.
Right.
Because actually computers made a lot of noise back then, but the sound of the hard drive going wouldn't have been as sexy in the net as if like when text went across the screen it went
that and then they had the one hacker that was always beating on the keyboard and then I'm trying to get into a system and they're fighting me and then he's like, I'm in.
Yeah,
that's not how hacking went. That's Hollywood hacking.
And typing and then using a mouse. And the computer doesn't
even on Hackers when they went to that payphone and then the dude hooked it up to like some contraption that he made up and then he was like, I'm gonna get in with this system right here and then you heard a I'm in the system.
No, you're not.
No, you're not.
That's not how that works.
That's not how that works at all.
That's not what those wires are meant to do.
No, if anybody ever used a payphone, listen, the payphone was there to pay for phone calls.
Yeah.
Okay? Not hacking into mainstream or mainframe systems.
No, it was just a phone line.
Yeah, it was just a phone line.
And some
That's
power.
what it was. Yeah.
That was it.
Dr.
But-
Chaos was there.
But listen, to close this out, though, the noises the computer screens made are the most
Right.
important part.
Yeah.
Like where text would come across the screen and go, and like they would delete something, like especially if on the rare occasions where they would use the mouse
Yeah.
to move something and they
Yeah.
delete a file, it would be like,
Bloop, bloop, bloop. Yeah.
like when you delete it, like,
Yeah.
bloop,
Yeah.
bloop.
I've used many computers in my time.
They don't make-
Never seen a computer make
Yeah.
that noise. Just when I deleted a file. The only thing that I did when I deleted a file on my computer, it made the sound like paper being crumpled
Yep,
up.
and that's it.
That's it.
That's all.
That's it. That's gone. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But in a movie, that's not great. And let's
Nah.
be honest, the movie Hackers ended with like a psychedelic, weird virtual reality.
It did,
fight.
right?
Yeah, like that didn't
It
make
did.
any sense
No, it
at
didn't.
all.
I loved Hackers. I loved Virtuosity. And God damn it, what was the other movie? There was Hackers. There was Virtuosity.
The Net
Was it The Net? Yeah.
with Sandra Bullock.
The Net was good. Oh
Yeah.
yeah. Oh shit.
See, The
yeah.
Net's legit.
Yeah. Damn. Oh
Yeah.
fuck. I forgot all
Yeah.
about that movie.
Yeah, no, The Net is legit.
What?
Yeah.
We spent so much time talking about Theodore Rex, and we need to start talking about really
Yeah.
like movies that
Should
were
we watch
actually.
the trailer for The Net real quick?
Yeah,
You
let's
got
do
plenty
that.
of time, man. We're only at 20 minutes, and I think
It's two things. Sandra
We're all
Bullock
along for the
was
ride.
still unbelievably hot, and she was a crush of mine growing up. And The Net was a great movie.
used to be.
Yeah, she's still fucking hot, man. She's
Yeah,
still oh my god.
And it's like her body's not like amazing by any stretch or anything.
No,
but
yeah.
she is just like you're like, yeah.
She's just like,
very
yeah, I'm
lady.
here and I'm hot. Yeah,
And here
and
goes
I
some
can-
computer noise.
and I was- yeah, there it is. There it is.
We all live in the age of information.
We're sitting on the most perfect beach in the world, and all we can think about is
Where
where.
can I hook up my modem?
Every trace of our existence is
Sandra Bullock
computerized.
doesn't age either.
Everything about us is encoded somewhere on
Her
a
and
complex
Pharrell
network
are
of
vampires.
information.
Right, yeah.
Computers your life, aren't they?
Yes. Perfect hiding place.
Computer analyst Angela Bennett was just doing her job
Look at that floppy disk, boy.
Yeah.
My God.
when she stumbled onto something
What is this?
she never should have seen.
I plugged it in and I'm staring at the personal medical files of the Undersecretary of Defense, Michael Bergstrom.
Someone's tapped into the system.
How long will it take to track it?
Someone's tapped.
Depends on how long she stays online.
Something
Why
You
would
hear those
anybody want to
computers
do
making
any
all
of
that
this?
noise?
Yeah.
better than she could ever imagine.
Page down.
Yeah, all the beeping, the
Panicked as officials.
Hold on.
If the computer makes that sound, it's broken. You need to fix it. No, that's not normal.
Dude, that we're gonna resume this. But in this preview, it was like memory full, and it was like beep 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 beep. Like that just happened. Wait,
Yeah.
hold on, wait, one more thing. There was a great one. Oh yeah, page down. It
Yeah.
showed someone
Oh,
clicking
my
the
God.
page down button.
Yeah.
And it went. Boop.
Suspended trading.
The Department of Water and Power in Atlanta. LAX.
We've lost radar contact.
See, I wonder how many of these movies were like based on Dr. Chaos and the shit that he did.
Probably. Well,
Yeah.
that's what people thought they could do because
Right.
of these movies.
Right.
We can make of reality
That's not how
what
it
we
works.
choose.
No.
According to the Department of Motor Vehicles, you're Ruth Marks.
They screwed with my information and my fingerprints. I don't understand. Why me?
Infiltrating her life.
Find out whoever she's been speaking to.
Jesus
No,
Christ.
he was not a diabetic.
Yeah, it
never
even went to the
This
prescription.
is the worst.
We've got an
movie
outstanding
Jesus
warrant for
Christ.
Ruth Marks on federal charges.
I am Angela Bennett.
Just give us the disc and we'll give you your life back.
She has the evidence.
She's copied the disc.
Clever girl.
They all have
Yeah,
discs.
yeah.
They had discs. I've never
Yeah,
seen this
it-
movie. This looks
No,
like the worst movie I've ever
The
seen.
whole plot went
I
around that
remember
one disc
that
that she
disc.
got.
I
Yeah.
remember seeing this movie.
It's a floppy disk.
And
In the
this
net.
movie was awesome.
Yeah.
From what I remember.
Yeah.
That was terrible. I don't
Yeah.
remember. I don't
film
mean to
by
say I don't
Owen
remember
Winkler.
this movie. I don't remember it sucking that bad.
Yeah, no.
The trailer made that movie suck really bad.
Right. No, but when it came out, it was amazing.
But so anyway, hacking,
yeah.
not a real thing as far as movies are concerned. Probably what landed this dickhead in Ad Max.
Yeah.
Because he
Yeah.
saw a lot of those movies and he was like, it'd be super cool
Yeah.
if I was a guy who used my computer to fuck with stuff.
That's exactly what happened. like we
Sounds
said,
like he
he was a
accomplished
gifted
very
youth. He was
little.
really good with computers. Disenfranchised youth, which is a big thing that happens. And
that's
he
what
ended
happens
up
to criminals.
Yeah, and he ended up becoming part of these hacking groups, and he went around and recruited people into his group, and also. He went into these urban exploration groups in Chicago. That's how he mapped the tunnels and found out which tunnels were abandoned. He found a storage room that he could use. He changed the locks so that he can gain access to it. He stole the cyanide from a different area, and then he stored it there. Before he got a chance to use that cyanide, they caught him. But before then, he did, like I said, $800,000 worth of damage doing air traffic control, radio transmissions, power stations. He cut off power to a large amount of people, and that's what Dr. Chaos was. There's not really a lot of meat in this story.
There isn't,
but
right?
It's worth talking about because
well, that was the thing
this
about
is what he did.
Well, and that was my question about, because he's in AdMax, right?
Yeah,
Which means that what he must have done must have been like grossly.
It's huge. I think the cyanide is really what pushed him over the edge, because you can do a lot with that shit. And a small amount will kill a lot of people.
That's true too. See, and I didn't even
the computer hacking and shit.
I'm thinking
like
about the computer shit. And I feel like they just use that to pile on.
The only thing that I will say is that in this country, in America, there was a point in time where hacking and bootlegging and shit was really focused on by the government. So when Napster came out, remember that?
Yeah, and some of that was before this, but I think the real questions about like downloading, like when it started happening outside of just the normal internet community, I think that was when, and that was years after this. That was when it really. I think it was like 2006 to 2008 was really when that like idea of because the Napster conversation happened in the late 90s and early 2000s, and Metallica was like, oh, 50,
Metallica and like Britney Spears put out a new song.
50,000 people out of 100 million didn't buy my album because they downloaded it on the internet. And most people were like, good
not
for
to go
them.
back to the South Park thing, but South Park really hit the nail on the head with that shit, because Metallica was like really hard on that shit, and we were like, why do you guys are Metallica? Like, are you really going hungry over this?
Bro, we can wrap this up before I end up in AdMax on my opinion about copyright infringement. But I'm also
God, yeah.
Well, I mean, my thing is like, okay, the record companies convinced me to buy. Like, I'm old enough to where the record companies convinced me to buy so many albums that are unfucking listenable to now.
Yeah.
Dude, I have a fucking binder full of CDs of artists whose music I don't even bother streaming anymore.
How many CDs have
Each
you bought
one
where
of those
just one
CDs
song was good and then the rest of it was garbage?
Right. And let's just assume that as children, essentially, we spent money average $20 a CD, right?
Right.
Okay, look, because there were some places where you get CDs for $15,
Yeah.
some places where they were $25, some places where they were $19, some places where they were $12.
Right.
And this is just in the beginning of your consumption of music.
That's true.
Much less when you become an older teenager like I did and become like a big fan of like all kinds of underground hip hop in the city you live, and you're pumping it out like everything, every piece of music someone gave you, essentially you paid for.
And back then, underground hip hop was Napster. Like, you downloaded that shit. Now it's SoundCloud. But back then, you didn't get
but it was on a
success.
much smaller scale.
Right, it was.
Right? You know what I mean? So like, as far as like copyright infringement and all that is concerned, I've always felt like now that I can like use Google Play Music and like the artist gets like some change. That was what you would have got off of album sales, buddy.
Right. You know what I mean? It's the same exact
like
thing.
You signed to a record label.
Yeah, you signed to a major
technology
label.
It's not complicated.
Right.
You know what I mean? So you get the 4 cents an album for the $20 album. And then, but see, the cool thing is I just pay the 4 cents. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
And we're not, and you think that for anybody who hasn't been familiar with this, we're not just talking. Look, Graham and I used to make music, so we did research on all this shit. We know what the fuck we're talking about. This isn't a bullshit. We're not making this up for headlines and taglines. No,
No.
Artists that sign to major labels, even to this day, you get screwed. That's why the independent shit is so popular.
In my mind, it's so silly that still exists.
Yeah, it is.
Because could you imagine, like, we put look, we were in our early 20s, so you do stuff.
Yeah.
But we put a tremendous amount of effort into making music.
We definitely did.
And, like, I'm talking about thousands of hours in my homemade studio.
Yeah.
A lot of the music we made was pretty dope, especially considering the time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And at least it was super well constructed. I spent
a
lot of time.
No, we put in a lot of hours
sitting around editing, discussing the editing of the tracks. I used to just sit over there and
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Could you imagine if we had a platform the way that cats now have a platform?
Right,
Would have been different.
Yeah.
Right? Not necessarily we would be more successful, but we'd have a lot more reaction.
That's true. Yeah.
And so that and then that. I don't know what the fuck I was talking about.
Yeah, no, we was talking about the platforms of music and how hard it was back then to get out there and then hacking and all that shit.
Something about that.
Yeah.
Hold on a second.
Yeah.
I don't remember how we got to any of that. It's inconsequential.
Yeah, it happened.
The point is that the representation of how computer hacking and the internet and shit worked was pretty rudimentary by the time they arrested this guy.
Yeah, it was. It was.
It's hard for me to imagine, too, that he was on to something.
Nah.
Like,
nah. I mean, Hollywood
the cyanide
really
is the thing.
You see, you got to think that Hollywood is really there to sell movies, not sell reality. And I've said this before.
Of course not.
If people want to look at reality, they'll look out the window. But people like to see these big, grand movies that take things like early internet, dial-up internet, and make it grand and make it bold. That where you have movies like Hackers and The Net and Johnny Mnemonic and even The Matrix, to where
of course,
you take these people that
Matrix
feel like yeah. I mean, but you get these people that feel like, hey, maybe they're onto something. No, they're onto something. All right, they're onto making money.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
Turns out people want to hear about this,
dude. Even if The Matrix, even if Hackers, even if The Net, even if Enemy of the State, even if all these movies were 100% correct and we found out that they were correct, it would not be as good as Hollywood makes it seem.
Of course not.
It is not that great. They are there to sell movies. Of course they're going to fucking boost it up. And they do all this research and market research to get people to go there and see their movies.
People get really extra silly about because here's my criteria, right?
Yeah.
I'm willing to sit through a movie where shit doesn't make any sense as long as it all doesn't make any sense on the same level.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I can watch Star Trek because for the most part, it all exists in the same nonsense. That's why Star Wars is good, because you keep the nonsense universe consistent.
Yeah.
You know,
it's always that what if, what
bend
if,
it to
what
your
if.
will if you need to. You can adjust reality here and there, but you're like, okay, here I'm just gonna create this universe and exist within this exist within these parameters.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, and the thing about Star Trek and Star Wars is that we don't know. The normal person doesn't know anything about space. We know we've been to space.
Absolutely.
It's cool. We don't have warp. We don't have, we can't travel at the speed of light or go warp speed.
Right.
But even if we could, there's a possibility that, yes, it may be as crazy as Star Trek. It may be years ago in a galaxy far, far away. Maybe there was a Rogue One or a Darth Vader or lightsabers and
because
shit.
you completely suspended
Who
disbelief.
knows? Yeah.
And so all you have to do is be consistent within the universe you're in. Excuse me. It basically works like this, though. See, so you're willing to accept those realities,
right?
I don't remember the name of the movie, but there was a movie with Kevin Bacon, where his son was killed because, that old story of gang initiations where you drive around with your lights off and the person who flashes their lights, you kill him,
right?
And so his son got killed, and then he went after that gang and killed all of them.
I remember that movie. I don't remember the
Kevin Bacon
name.
movie, right?
Yeah.
See, that's a classic of the late 90s, early 2000s with what I like to call the multicultural gang of, baristas.
Yeah.
Where it's like, oh, the leader of this gang, I think it's like Kiefer Sutherland or somebody.
Okay.
And he's like wearing like a giant fur coat, and they live in like a bombed out apartment building with like, you know,
Uh-huh.
they live in like an old factory or
Right,
something, you
right,
know, with like
right.
torture devices and shit. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like the old,
yeah.
you know, because like in the 80s, like the Warriors is a good example of like the
Yeah.
early like 1980s multicultural gang thing. Right?
Yeah, yeah.
Adventures in Babysitting is a movie that takes place in Chicago, and it's in the 80s, and they ride the L, and they like come across like a couple of gangs beefing with each other, and it's like a multicultural group of dudes
Yeah,
in like
yeah.
sweatpants with like headbands and shit on.
Yeah.
You know,
I love
these-
the Warriors because it was
Yeah,
like
of course.
everybody was represented in the Warriors.
Counts though. You know what I'm saying? Warriors are the only ones who get away with it.
Yeah, the Warriors
obviously.
did that shit perfectly because it was even when all the gangs came to that one
Yeah.
big. I love that shit
Dude,
because
the
there was so
beginning of
many
that
variations of gangs. Yeah, like
Yo, they
what?
did such a good job of presenting
Yeah.
that part of the movie too,
Dude,
because
there
it
was-
was like you kind of knew what was going on without having seen the
Right,
movie. Like
right.
the way they went Medias Ray, like Shakespeare on that,
Yeah.
and started the movie in the middle.
Yeah.
where it's like, oh, there's been all this back history, all this gang fight,
Right.
where he's like, you know.
Yeah.
We got the Moon Rangers.
Yeah, and there's
next
very
to
few
the
movies
roller
that
skate
that
face
can
people.
that can capture that magic and that and make it.
That's a
seem
whole
like-
universe in itself.
It is.
Too,
It
'cause
really
that's not
is.
like, you know, there wasn't really a time where all of New York was controlled by a
no.
bunch of like really aesthetically pleasing gangs.
No. There's rarely been a chance where one person could be like, all the gangs come here, and then we're
Yeah.
gonna have one big group. And like
Yeah.
in reality, it'd be like, no, fuck no, you
Yeah,
don't
nobody's
control
going
us.
up
No,
there.
but the Warriors did that shit really well.
No, they did it great. Well,
Yeah.
because it was sort of like a dystopian future kind of movie.
Yeah,
Because it's
yeah.
like, here's this
And
dystopian
that- and
future.
you know what? That's what I
future
love.
slash present, where it's actually
Yeah.
like, oh, these gangs control the entire city. Like,
Yeah.
there's no part of the city that doesn't have some kind of group of dudes in matching T-shirts and overalls,
Right,
ready
right.
to bang.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, dystopian future is definitely.
I don't even know how we got to this.
No, we were talking about the fucking. It all goes back to how Hollywood, how they portray reality, and how people like the Hollywood version of reality
well, and
rather
this
than
guy-
really
yeah,
reality.
exactly,
And
yeah,
then
there we
Dr.
are.
Chaos was
Clearly one of
he
those
was
guys.
reality, but he had Hollywood caliber actions that
Yeah.
really happened.
You can't imagine though. See, and that's what I was gonna say was that
Mm-hmm.
like the time when all this happened, you have to imagine some of that influenced what he was doing.
Yeah,
If
shit,
your
yes.
if your manifesto is like, oh, I was cool because
Yeah.
I fucked up all this stuff.
Right.
That sounds like some shit from a late '90s movie.
It does.
You know
It
what I
does.
mean?
It does. And you have guys like Dr. Chaos and you have guys like the Unabomber that was like, look, this is my manifesto. I didn't watch a bunch of movies that were real cool and try to emulate that. No, I was very gifted at a young age, and the government brought me in and gave me a bunch of psychedelics, and that's what really shaped my it changed my reality to the point to where I had to go to extreme measures to get my point across.
Is there any evidence though that this dude wasn't just a kook? Like, was there any evidence that this guy was part of? Any
I
sort of
didn't see
LSD
any
studies
evidence,
or
and I did.
anything?
Yeah, I did a bunch of research
That's
on it, and
definitely
I
what
didn't.
separates the Unabomber
Yeah,
from-
if he was, then it's not documented at all. Not like Ted Kaczynski.
If it was documented, we would have
Yeah.
some shit on our hands.
Right? Yeah. No, we definitely would. Yeah, this guy was ultimate evil, and he's about to get out in September. It's September of 2019. Yeah.
Timing is not great.
No, it's not. No. So what is this guy going to do? How is he going to re-emulate?
what,
How is he going
integrate
to
into
go back
society?
to society? What is he going to do?
I don't know. He's
How's
going to
he gonna do?
reintegrate into society with every security camera in his
Right,
neighborhood. And
right.
his
Do you
phone
just
and
let
his-
guys like this, Joseph? And,
They won't.
then let me just read this again.
I don't think they'll let him out to
$800,000 in damages, at least stocking cyanide, the hacking into air traffic control, radio, television, damaging power stations, cut power off to many people. How do you let this guy back out into society? What is he gonna do?
Stand by.
Okay.
Right? Check this out.
All right.
This guy, we just discussed the conditions in
Yeah.
this prison.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like what you get to participate in.
Yeah, and
as
he
far
did
as-
20 years of that.
Right. So in 20 years ago, maybe he was like kind of had the knowledge required to sort of like get into a power grid and maybe turn
Yeah.
off a light switch.
Yeah.
20 years ago, they put him in a concrete box surrounded by metal.
Right.
Now he's out. I don't think he's much of a threat.
You would think that, but the infrastructure in America, the way it's set up, is that a lot of companies do not do the security updates that are most recent. They do the ones that are most stable.
Are they 20 years old?
They could be. I'm not gonna say. I'm not gonna go as far as saying 20.
Dude,
I'm not gonna say. I'm not gonna say 20.
This man has never seen a smartphone.
But he was. Okay.
Like the
being
the touch
the devil's
screen
advocate,
thing,
he was very gifted.
Agreed.
And he's still gifted.
You know,
so
it's
he
not
can
gonna
learn
be
this shit.
beyond
Maybe he
him.
can learn this shit just like that. Maybe not.
I don't know.
AOL is different than iPhones. I mean,
It's true, but
there's a
I
learning
gue-
curve.
I
But at the
guess,
same
yeah,
time,
like you
if
said.
you have the drive and you have the knowledge, maybe I don't know. But I get what you're saying,
Do you think
and
he
I
doesn't
think
get
that
fucked
maybe
up in the process? Though,
yeah,
too,
I
'cause
don't
he's
think
gonna be
that
so monitored. That
yeah,
you
I
think
don't.
They're gonna let him get
that
he'll
and
be
the
like
fact that
talking into his phone and be like access. Oh, it says voice activate.
Yeah, yeah,
access NORAD, and then they drop,
yeah, no, they're gonna
dudes
they're
smash
monitoring
his window in and grab him
one
up
of the
and they put him
time when the Boston marathon bombing happened, where it was the pressure cookers and the nail, and then they got those guys. One of the surviving brother is in ADX. We're going to talk about him too.
Absolutely.
But there was an elderly couple that husband and wife, they Google searched for pressure cookers, and then he searched for like hardware or something.
Jeez.
Innocent. These guys, this couple was in there, like they're elderly. They just sitting at home. He's fucking on Google, doing this. Probably one of those guys that tells Google thank you.
Yeah.
And they just randomly searched for some shit that came together. The FBI went and talked to those people. So if the FBI can pick up on random Google searches that put shit together in an area that is close to a terror event that just happened, and they come and they go talk to those people, this motherfucker, Dr. Chaos, is going to be watched 24/7 to the point that, like you said, if he Google searches anything that could be deemed terrorist related or even anything that's suspicious, they're going to come after him.
I believe if he even reads something, like if he acts, like if he's scrolling through something, he figures out a way to just kind of like link his way to some weird shit.
Yeah, no, they're going to come after
see
him.
Every word he reads.
So that's how you
several algorithms.
That's
working.
how you
would hope so.
Prevent people like Dr. Chaos, who's going to get out of prison in September, to not do shit like that. You do it by fucking keeping an eye on him, just like the elderly couple in Boston.
Does he have more of a grudge now, though, too, that he sat in a box for 20 years thinking about it?
And see, that's something that
just
I would want to know.
And he's
like,
watching TV and he's watching technology advance.
And then listen. Well, he got sent to ADX Colorado in early 2000 after 9/11.
Yeah.
So you see the war on terror and all this shit. Normally, guys that do shit like this, they want to be recognized.
Yep.
He was not recognized.
Nope. Damn,
So-
you just gave him the recognition. Not
Yeah.
we. You. Not we. I had a podcast studio and I invited my friend over here to do this podcast. And now we're at the point in the podcast where I'm like, damn, man, what are you even talking about?
But see, but you being here, but us being
Fuck, I'm
here
in
and
it
talking about
anyway.
this guy,
Damn it.
we're safe though because we gave him props, so to speak.
I didn't give this
We
guy
gave him props.
If you better wrap this shit up.
But yeah, that's enough on Dr. Chaos. He's gonna get out if he does something in the future.
We'll report on it here.
Yeah, you heard about it here first. So FBI, make sure that you keep an eye on this guy because he was dangerous back then, and he might be dangerous when he gets out in September.
And it's been
2019.
proven that we are national security experts.
Let's see. Moving on. Let's briefly. I saw something on Twitter, really briefly, that somebody was like, are humans the aliens on Earth? Did we come here and took over the planet as the dominant species? Before you answer, let me.
Okay.
This is what I thought of.
I'm totally open on
And
this.
then I've read that and I was like, wait a minute, shit. Have you ever seen the movie Prometheus?
Yes.
Okay. In the movie Prometheus, remember the architects? They sent they essentially was what created humans
Earth
on
was
Earth.
seeded by.
I was thinking that before not dismissing that theory.
I'm not dismissing this at all either.
Yeah, yeah. If an alien species or overlord species was like, let's see what planets are able to have life, and they came to Earth and they saw that they were dinosaurs and there was Pangea and all this shit, and they were like, look, if we put humans here, they're not going to be able to coexist with dinosaurs because dinosaurs would kill every single last one of us.
Right.
You know, I stubbed my foot on fucking furniture. I'm not going to be able to deal with a Tyrannosaurus Rex or anything or a raptor. No. So, okay, let's terraform Earth, get rid of the dinosaurs, start humanity, and then that's how they be able to take over the planet. There has been...
I have a question real quick.
Okay.
So when you terraform Earth, you're talking about you essentially enact the asteroid that kills the dinosaurs.
Yeah.
Are you allowing mammal life to then evolve into humanity, or are you saying that's when you drop off humanity? Because check it out. I'm willing to subscribe to that idea in a like, well, you can't prove it didn't happen sort of way.
Right.
If the idea is that whatever that object was that came through the atmosphere was seeded with the building blocks of somehow
that's what I'm
making
thinking,
it so that we're related to mice.
That what came down here and killed the dinosaurs, but actually
started some
also
sort of relatively rapid evolution of mammal life.
Why the planet is being terraformed to something that will allow us to go and be alive. By the time that terraforming is ended, then we can become humans, and then that's how we came to this planet.
See, that's an incredibly long game, though, which is my only concern about it being intelligently designed. Unless it was intelligently designed as a latch-dish effort, you know what I mean? Where it's like, oh shit, we're gonna seed this place. Yeah, this is the only way to make our species survive. Who the fuck knows how?
It could be that.
Hopefully, they have mice there,
even the ancient, even ancient civilizations have. We've seen the pictures of what seems to be alien crafts. Yeah. And I'm thinking that maybe they came through and they were like, hey, let's check on our people or whatever we did.
My only thing is I'm less likely to subscribe to that because I just don't.
There's a lot of human history that's been.
That's what I mean. It's like I'm a little more hesitant to subscribe to that because I don't think we really even have a great grasp on like when the beginning of human civilization.
That's what I'm saying.
Was.
Yeah.
Like we're somewhere between like 10,000 years ago and 300,000.
Right. And so it's hard to really dismiss something like this. Yeah. And we've always been told that aliens are some mystical creature that visit our planet or that the government knows about them. But are we the aliens? Yeah. Like, have we? Like, it's just even as a kid in school when they taught us about space and how we're just so lucky to be on a planet that's just far enough from the sun to where we don't burn up and that we can have life. And I'm like,
it's such a delicate balance.
It's weird, like
except for the only thing that I say counter to that is that it is a very delicate balance, and it seems super fragile to us because we have some sort of concept of like the length of the existence of this, all of this in the span of our own lifetimes. Like we've like assigned it a number of years, and been like because this is how long we exist. Yeah, but we're actually dealing with multiple dimensions. Like when we go out into space, and I'm not being weird here.
No,
like,
you're not.
Like when you go out into space and you like astrophysicists explain it to us like, oh yeah, that star blew up 1 million years ago. Yeah. And we're just now seeing it because it's 1 million light years away. Right. And that's how we understand it as like, well, yeah, that distance of time for us relative to us, that's great. But actually what's going on is you're like a manifestation, a form that exists of just the same energy, right? Yeah. That all of what you see is created from and comes back to. Yeah. You're like a manifestation of goo that happens to have the ability to recognize its own existence. Yeah. And then when you die, you just go back in, like everything you're made of just goes back into the stream of matter and electricity. Yeah. And at that, and like that's a fact. That's a scientifically provable fact that everything you are goes back into this stream of just energy that created the whole universe. Yeah. You know,
I mean, and that's true. Humans, the way that we're created is that we want to expand beyond Earth.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking that there's a bigger reason why we have the need to go to Mars and go to all these other planets and really go out there.
Well, it's the same thing that gave us the need to like go over one hill and go over the next hill.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think
we
the
gotta
idea,
spread out the humanity.
Yeah. It's crazy.
We got to.
That you have to seed it. But see, and so you can see that in us to where you can accept like, here's this event in history. Because see, I'm less likely to be like, oh, aliens came back and checked us out when we were Mayans. I think maybe the people who carved those were kicking around the same ideas we are.
I mean, damn, it like I feel where you coming from, and I want to be like, yeah, that
Because
could be.
the-
I mean, that's a possibility
Because
too.
the narrative is like, oh, they had no frame of reference for that. Oh, and how did they build these buildings?
Yeah.
That's temporal exceptionalism. That's fucking like Western exceptionalism. That's just us being like that. Those narratives come from the idea like, oh, well, those people who lived in that jungle couldn't have had these thoughts or
No, they could have. No, they could have.
Stone.
But it goes back to what I was
mean?
saying, that us now is like when I said that
just
Hollywood
like
could be
we're-
telling us of shit that could happen.
Just like
but it
we're
could have
like,
just be
oh,
somebody thought it up.
Yeah, I hope we're not alone. You know, oh shit, I hope we're not alone. What else could be out there?
Right.
Oh, I don't know, dudes from somewhere else.
Yeah.
Like they come out of the sky. Like, what is all that out there?
Yeah.
Maybe
So
there's
I mean,
dudes out there.
like I've always said that
These are two different episodes of your podcast we're doing here, brother.
I know, I know. That's why I said I wanted to hit on this really quickly, but
Not with me.
But yeah, like back then we had the Egyptians and the Mayans. They made carvings in the stones, and now we see them. We're like, whoa, shit! Were those aliens, or those the ancient versions of Hollywood movies that we've done now? Who knows?
Who knows?
I think that there's a lot of things that go into that.
I subscribe to the boredom of humanity, bro. I
see where you're coming from. I see where you're coming from, but I know it. I feel it. That
we would have been the ones like check out these fucking spaceships. Check this out. Like,
I feel, man.
is
I
that
know
why
it.
they all died? Yeah, I don't
it's
know
gotta
about
be. It's got to be
diseases.
more. It's got to be more, dude. Because even the space itself is still expanding, and we're learning more about it even to this day. So there has to be more than just.
To me, the more we
ideas.
understand about that, though, the less likely it is that any of
That sucks.
that
though.
we're being directly
That
affected
sucks.
by it.
Can you imagine that? We're just the only humans that up here, and we're fucking around and
No,
killing
I'm
each
sure
other, and
there's
nuking each
other-
other.
I'm sure there's other-
Any other planet out there, there's like fucking iguanas or some shit on the
Yeah,
planet, and they
that's what I'm
just
saying.
fucking walking around,
And
coming out the
they're just-
water, and like,
And they're
what the
just
fuck?
waiting for the part where they go through it. You know what I mean? Where life on that planet, where life.
So
on
what
that
happened to
planet-
all the civilizations in the
life on
past?
because the life on those planets eventually evolved to the point where they start reaching out a little bit, but then they destroy themselves.
What's stopping us from making that fucking
Because
hump?
the only way that life can persist, right? If you think about it on like a universal scale, if life exists as we think it, the only way life can persist is for one thing to prey on another, right? So by the time you become the species that should become super enlightened and super connected and begins reaching out into the stars, you're still the ancestors of things that needed to eat each other to survive. You need to exist with a reason to hate one another, and then you fucking use your technological prowess to destroy one another, and then it all starts the fuck over somewhere else down the road.
That's depressing. But
Happy
going
Monday.
in with the theme that I've said since day one, Hollywood makes it seem like it's this great fucking picture, but in reality, it's exactly what you said.
Yeah.
No, we're gonna end up killing each other, and then it's gonna be a group of people like, hey, let's send this meteor to this planet.
We don't know.
And then we're gonna start again.
Yeah.
So it's one of. I think that soon we're gonna figure out something that's gonna blow this shit out of proportion.
I think we just did.
And it's going to be either amazing or it's going to be something mundane, and we're going to find like fucking lizards on Mars underground, and we're going to be like, well, we found alien life on other planets. They're newts.
Yeah. Great.
That's no different than when China built that fucking plant on the moon,
they grew
and we talked
tomatoes
about
on
it.
the
It was like
moon,
we
put
made-
liquid
we
paper
grew-
on a bee. It died. Yep.
Y'all quit playing. Quit playing.
All right, now that we got through that, let's go to Incels and Vice. They did a good fucking They did a good interview on.
You're doing 3 podcasts right now.
Is it how much time do we have right now?
You are at 30 plus 25. You've done I think I would wrap it up now.
The last podcast was long, and
An
I
hour.
like that.
I liked
that
it.
shit.
It was an hour.
All right, well, let's play
We'll
this.
go. We'll keep
yeah,
going.
let's go.
You don't
yeah.
have video to worry about.
Yeah. No. This is Vice did
Sorry.
the Vice sent a reporter to interview in self-proclaimed incel.
Can we take a bathroom break?
Yeah, let's do that.
All right.
Vice did a interview with an incel, and then he's going to talk about the life, and we'll talk about him talking about the life. We'll be back. All right, and we're back.
The magic of editing.
The magic of editing, yeah. Let's get into this, man. We're not going to listen to the whole interview, but there's a section that I want to really focus on, and then we'll discuss that. So go ahead.
Joey is 23 years old. He doesn't have a job. He's not in school.
Of course not.
On a given day, he may not get up from his chair, where he sits sometimes for 2 days straight, smoking cigarettes and running chat rooms.
Honestly, I feel more real here, sitting in front of the computer. When I go outside, I almost depersonalize a little bit and feel like I'm playing a video game. I don't know what that is. It's just a state of mind. It's probably just a side effect of isolation.
Are incels violent?
I don't think they're really violent. They're very meek. And when an incel attacks, it's not the same type of thing as when Dylan Roof shot up that church or when ISIS blows people up. Those are perhaps more masculine. These are like docile men who have like this bottled up thing, and then it comes out as an outburst of anger. But I think that's uncommon.
People joke about killing women.
That's a higher percentage. People who joke about killing women.
All right.
Yeah. So
set us straight on that.
This guy, he's a self-proclaimed incel. Incels are involuntarily celibate.
Yeah, we should do an episode of The One Room Army where we
we dove into this. This is something I came across earlier today, and I just wanted to touch on it real quick. There's that part that we just listened to, and there's another part where he was just like 4 of his so-called friends have committed suicide, and they commit suicide because they're incels and that women don't want to fuck them. It all comes down to sex. Okay,
generally.
Women don't want to have sex with them because they're not what's called
Oh,
a chad.
for you.
Sorry.
Yeah, they're not what's called a chad, and a chad is according to them a muscular guy who's very charismatic, and that all the women chase after chads and they fuck chads. He was saying that women in their early 20s have fucked well over 100 people, and that's the reason they're not chads, so that's why they don't get laid.
Right.
And when he was saying that Dylan Roof and ISIS are more masculine, but incels have done mass shootings, and the guy from Canada drove his van through a crowd of people because he was an incel. It all comes down to sex. And I got to tell guys out there, if you're an incel, if you're not an incel, me personally, sex just happens.
It does.
Okay? And I've done a lot of dumb shit. And I've gone out of the house looking like a fucking bum. I've had a gut. I've had muscles. I still get laid.
Yeah, I'm willing to say anecdotally, right? This is anecdotal, but I think that a lot of people listening could understand this. If you're a dude and you go, okay, this year I'm going to live like a monk, right? If you're not like a hideous person, you go out and do what you're going to do, you're going to accidentally get laid a couple times.
Yeah.
The guy this story is about is a tall, skinny dude.
Yeah.
Like... You understand that if you're a tall, skinny dude, you just get laid,
dude,
on whim.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Every time we talk about this, we're not bragging on ourselves, but like it's not hard to get laid.
Yeah, if you
this is really not.
Well, it's not. And that's what I say, especially if you're like a single person.
Yeah.
In this, this
dude,
is
just don't be a fucking maniac.
You guys
creep.
just wanted to do the chat room.
There was a point in that video.
You just wanted to do the chat room.
There was a chat room, and they had all those guys in there, and then there was a point in that video where he was like, "Oh, this guy right here, he always does this prank where he shits his pants." No wonder you're not getting laid.
Yeah, that's
nobody's gonna want to fuck you. But at the same time, somebody's gonna want to fuck you.
Yeah,
because there's somebody for everybody.
Yeah,
that's why you have scat porn and golden showers and all this shit.
Or even somebody thinks it's funny.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Maybe they do think it's a joke.
Yeah.
But you're really only showing it to a bunch of other dudes who also aren't having sex with women.
Exactly.
You know,
I mean, it comes down to...
It has to come down to some sort of psychological
condition
to where they're not actually interested in having sex with women.
No,
because that's
no.
sort of my point here.
Right.
Is that if you're actually interested in having sex with women and you're a person who's like, I'll just have sex with any woman.
Yeah.
No woman will have sex with me. Just get out there.
Yeah, just walk out and just randomly talk to people.
If the bar is nothing and you can walk... You know what I mean? Like if you're not like so fat that you're ridden to like a scooter.
Yeah.
And shit, even if you're the dude in the if you're the dude in the scooter, just Larry Flint that shit.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Put on a cool hat, show up at bars, have beads put on you, start a podcast, do something.
Man, listen.
You'll be all right.
He was talking about all this anxiety and all this social shit. Man, look.
Okay, it's just a wacko.
You're just fucking you're not putting in effort to go in and get sex. Incels want to say all this bullshit and they want to gaslight you and they talk all this shit. It all comes down to them not getting fucking laid. If that's your ultimate goal, it's not hard. There's always somebody out there that wants to fuck. There's always
What do you say? I don't know. Something about being gay.
That's got to be a part of it, right?
That is a part of it. That too.
I have to assume.
But I mean, shit. After a while, you run out of valid excuses as to why you can't get laid. It's not hard.
Yeah.
Just don't be a fucking creep and just go out there and do it.
And then look, if you can't put that together, find something else to do.
Find something else to do. Yeah.
You live in the 21st century.
Right.
You can yerk off to the most insane shit that you'll never experience in your life. Just do that. And
just do that.
And don't be mad at women because they don't like you.
Yeah.
They don't like you because you shit your pants.
Exactly.
And you sit in front of your computer for 3 hours a day smoking cigarettes.
Right.
That's nobody's
gonna lay you when you do that.
That's not someone else's fault that they don't want to have sex with you.
Right.
You know
so,
what I mean?
Yeah. That was just something I came across. If you go to YouTube and you go search for Vice
Stop
incel,
being a bitch and come on.
Yeah, if you go and do a Vice incel, that video will come up. It's very good. They have the whole video. You have to watch the show or whatever. But yeah, I just want to touch on that. To wrap everything up, we had a great episode, the beginning of season 3. We talked about Dr. Chaos. We talked about incels. We talked about fucking aliens,
Y'all
space.
Quit playing.
We talked about alien, space, and everything.
Yeah.
The last thing that I want to do, and I want to get Graham to, the video. Jan Michael Vincent passed away this past week. If you were a fan of the show Airwolf, a lot of people forgotten that show. For me, as a kid, I watched almost every episode of that, if not every episode. It was a great show. Jan Michael Vincent was a star of that show. He recently passed away. Graham and I are both fans of Rick and Morty. They did a really good episode where they did the random commercials, the interdimensional cable. Yeah. And one of the commercials did they featured Jan Michael Vincent, and this is a good this is the reason why I do so many crazy commercials is because of this.
Nice.
And and to honor Jan Michael Vincent and Airwolf, we're gonna play the commercial that Rick and Morty did to end this show. Thank you for listening to Pod Caviar. We'll see you next week. Check out Shirt Caviar and check out the One Graham Army. That's Graham. I'm Tony. This is Jan Michael Vincent, and we are out.
Calling all Jan Michael Vincents! Calling all Jan Michael Vincents!
In a world where there's 8 Jan Michael Vincents.
We need 1 Jan Michael Vincent to Quadrant C! We need 2 Jan Michael Vincents to Quadrant E!
And 16 quadrants. There's only enough time for a Jan Michael Vincent to make it to a quadrant. He can't be at 2 quadrants at once.
Hey Rick, who is Jan Michael Vincent?
Oh man, I'm trying to remember, Morty. Jan Michael Vincents are used up.
I need a goddamn Jan Michael Vincent! Is it important that we know who Jan Michael Vincent was in order to get this?
Yes, Airwolf. Yes.
I don't think it is.
Sign the legislation that allows more than 8 Jan Michael Vincents to a precinct.
This January, it's time to Michael down your Vincents. Jan Quadrant Vincent 16.
Whoa! That's Jan Michaels.
Excuse me, nurse. Can you take my temperature? Because I think I have Jan Quadrant Vincent fever over here.
All right, Morty, you done it.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.